All right, guys. I'm going to try something a little different here. I am going to try something where anybody can jump up. I got, let's see, I can invite guests on this thing. I can invite up to 10 people. So if you want to jump in and you're ready to kind of get on video and be, get your 15 minutes of fame, this is an opportunity for you to jump on my feed. Let me see if I can entice anybody else to come up. Let's see. Want to jump in live with me? Live with me. Okay, let's just see. Copy. Okay, I'm gonna invite some people here. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna invite Wayne, one of my favorites. I'm gonna invite Andrew. Andrew just did. Let's just invite Joe. Let's invite Dallas. Let's just see if this works. Anyways, we'll see if any of this thing. Where's the dog? Dog is up. Hey guys. So what I want to try to do is get some other speakers on board on this restream, kind of like do a spaces but video, right? So people can come up, they can hit me up, and we'll all have a kind of a general discussion. I don't know if that's possible. Let's see. Hoddle wants to join. Join me live. Video. Let's see. I'm just sending a bunch of invites. See if other people want to go. But anyways, what do we have to talk about? Well, we have the stock market is down almost 600 points. Okay, where are we? Thanks for the video. People like my content. So Dow is down officially 674 points right now. And I just want to put that in perspective. So I asked ChatGPT to compare what's this about, Chapeau. We're going to try to do like a video spaces. So I'm hoping that somebody else wants to jump in. If anybody wants to jump in, let me know, and I will invite you. We can all talk together. But we are now down on the stock market. We're down 674 points. Okay, so where is that? Well, we've done it twice, once in 2024, once in 2023. So we've been this. So we have not dropped this much in a single day on the stock market for 2 years. Okay, almost. We had, a couple scares in 2022, but basically we're in a pretty rare territory that the market has dropped this much. And that's interesting, to paint the chair against the wall. Yeah, it is. It's an art chair, but actually it's actually not too bad. So we are, we're kind of in this zone here where, one of the worst days in the stock market for the last four times. And why is this? Well, Fed did not cut rates. And apparently there was some talk of the Fed cutting rates, but it didn't cut rates. Am I surprised? No, because I'll tell you why. The Mount Gox is selling. The U.S. is selling. So we've got some actual massive selling into this, which makes no sense. But I think Bitcoin's actually acting pretty well, actually. And of course, gold is actually up. So let's just take a look at the markets real quick here. So let's take a look at the markets, right? So we have the Dow is down 646, Treasuries are down 94. I mean, S&P is down 94. look at the bonds. Okay, we have the 10-year note that is at 398, so below 4%. When do you think that was going to happen? Right? That's crazy, right? Oil is down to $76. Okay, so Russia's not too happy with that. Gold all-time high. Okay, 2482, doing fantastic. Now, let's look at FX. Okay, the yen, they're doing some interventions. We're at 149. Euro 108. Okay, so euro very weak against the dollar. The yen pretty weak against the dollar. And also, let's look at the Nikkei. The Nikkei was down 2.49%. So the Nikkei is down to 38,000, right? I've made this point many times that I was in Japan in 1990, and the Nikkei was at 40,000 in 1990. That was 34 years ago. Hard to believe. But yeah, 2024. Yeah, 34 years ago today, when I was a young trader at my height of my trading career, I was in Japan on the Nomura Stock Exchange. And kind of incredible that this thing has done so bad for so long. It's just amazing. Let's take a real quick look at the Nikkei here. This is where we were in 1990. This is where we are today. We are below the peak of, sorry, not 1990, the peak of 1989, September 1989. So, this market is the everything bubble of Japan popped. It took 30 years for it to get back. Could we be in such a bubble in the U.S.? Possibly. I tend to think that we get in Kamala president. I think we're going to have something like this. We're going to have a lost decade, War II, in the U.S. stock market. Everybody's so heavily into stocks, and they're just assuming that that's great. So what else do we have here? Well, what else we have is we have the Fed, who didn't do anything. We don't. We have the Fed, who didn't do anything, who basically stood pat again and did nothing. And so we have these rates. And I tweeted about this really briefly. Let me just go over that tweet. I retweeted something else, which I like this tweet a lot. Let me just go over that tweet. Let me show this. Nate Garachi, my take on today's Fed meeting. The Fed got it wrong when interest rates was accelerating, right? So here we are. Fed did absolutely nothing. This is temporary. It's transient. Inflation is transitory. Well, inflation wasn't transitory. They just jacked up, and now they can't figure out what to do. They're just sitting there. So this chart does not exactly scream, we know what we're doing. I could not agree more with you, Nate. You are completely and utterly correct. But we are about to start going down, right? We are about to start going down. And, when we do go down, remember when we went down in March of 2020? That was here, right? That was exactly here. That's when the pandemic hit. That's when we went from 1.75 to 0 interest rates. We're not going to 0 immediately, but we're going down, right? The 10-year note is below 4% now. The 10-year note, okay, which is saying the market believes the average rate for the next 10 years is going to be below 4%. That's why they would not buy the 10-year note if they thought the average interest rate was not going to be below 4%. So we're probably headed down to 2% kind of number. And everybody's like, that won't happen, Fred, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it will happen. And by the way, if we hit down 1,000 points today, I'm not saying we will, but if we do, we are going to probably, we're probably going to have some kind of interim move. So that's kind of my view on this. If anybody wants to hop in, just ping me in the chat. Let's see if I recognize anybody who's been on the video. But if you want to go in, first person wants to go in, I can just invite a guest this way, I guess. Hop on this. Try hopping on this. Okay. Try hopping there. And let's see if you can get in. And then just jump on in. This is like a video spaces. Everybody's welcome, free for all. Let's look at Bitcoin real quickly. I use SFox. We are back up above 63,000 right now. We hit a low of 62,244 about 10 minutes ago. So we're climbing back. Nothing would surprise me right here. And I think my commentary on this election result is, just wait for an economic crisis. Wait for the stock market to crash between now and the election. September is people always think October is the worst month for for stocks. It's not. Actually, September is worse than October historically. If ETH flips, okay, ETH is not flipping Bitcoin market cap, Frank. Okay, it's just not happening. Okay. In fact, let's take a look. Let's have a gander, shall we, at the ETH BTC trading view. Okay, let's just take a look at that. I hate to break your dreams. I know you guys are loving Ethereum, but let's just look at Ethereum here. Okay, so Ethereum is down to 0.04932. Okay, down 1% on the day versus Bitcoin, down 3% on the week versus Bitcoin, down 1%, 9% on the month versus Bitcoin, down 7% over 6 months, 8% year to date, and 22% over the last year on Ethereum. So, yeah, I would not hold my breath on Ethereum, guys. I just don't think that's a good idea. And it's interesting. People are like, "Well, Solana's going to do well." You know what? Solana. Let's take a look at Solana BTC because I noticed it had started to crumble as well. Let's view that. Okay. So Solana BTC, let's look at that. Over the week, Solana has dropped 6% versus Bitcoin. Ooh, I'm sorry. All these people thought they were diversifying somehow by buying Solana in versus Bitcoin. Not going to help you. Not going to help you at all. You just dropped an extra 6% for no reason whatsoever. So I hope you guys caught my video with Charlie Morris. Charlie Morris, besides being a very good trader and a very interesting macro commentator, he is the genius behind ByteTree. Okay. So let's take a look at ByteTree. I want to just share this. They have this thing is really good. These they sort of changed it around a lot. Let's see where the ByteTree ETF. They took away some of the stuff. Where is their indexes? I can't find it really easily, but let's see. That's their bold. They have this Bitcoin and gold index, but this is not what I'm finding, right? This is not what I want. Where is their ETF stuff? Oh, they took it out, I guess. Anyways, anyhow, I hope if in the future I can get some guys. Can I jump in? Yes, you can. JWH, jump in. Okay. Here, JWH, here. JWH, click this link, this studio restream link, and you can jump in. Try it. Because you can see that link, right? I'm going to repost that link here. Okay. There. Click that link. And we'll talk about it on video. You get it, JWH? It's a platform I discovered. Actually, Simply Bitcoin introduced me to this platform, and I really like this platform. It's great. What else do we got here? Let's look at really quickly. Let's look at our crypto universe a little bit. Let's look at our crypto universe. Okay, coin market cap. Well, okay. So Ethereum down 6%. Bitcoin down 5%. Solana down 11%. Ooh, that's got to hurt. Ripple down 9%. These things, Cardano, when the stuff goes down, these alts go down more. That's what's happened. Shiba Inu, etc. Oh, let's look at the one that I absolutely hate. Oh, Kaspa. Not actually doing as bad as I would hope. This thing I think is a complete scam, Kaspa. There's my personal opinion of Kaspa. But you can disagree with me. Oh, I didn't even have it on. Yeah, there's my cryptocurrency page. I'm not getting any takers. JWH. What is JWH saying? JWH, not seeing link. Okay, JWH. There's a host link. Let me just. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post this link in the chat. That's a good way to do it. Let me just post this thing in here. I will post this thing here in the open video. I'll post it in here. Edit post. Join here. Okay, let me post it in here. Join here. Okay. All right. Let's see if we get some followers. Join here. So I put it in the thing. Now, anybody who just go to the Twitter feed and you'll see join here and you can join this video. So I don't know. You guys can totally join the video. JWH, just go there. And is the U.S. government? Yeah, I think they are. They moved 30,000 Bitcoin the other day. I don't think they did it for nothing. I think that's connected to this new aid that they're planning for Ukraine. While we're waiting for JWH to say, what do you guys think about this Olympics, men and the women's Olympics? Why even have the women's Olympics anymore? That makes no sense. If anybody can declare that they're a woman, then why have a women's Olympics? Why don't you have a separate category for men who declare themselves women? That's what they should do. It makes no sense. If you want to have them separate, you have three categories: men, woman, and Plan B has a new video post. Okay, I'll take a look at his post. I don't like Plan B, but his videos are interesting to watch, but I just think his methodology makes no sense whatsoever. The power law. There's now some a really good oscillator. Let's see if I can dig this up. Let me find this oscillator. We got somebody here. Okay, Pops. Let's see if Pops can join. Pops. You there, Pops?
Hello, Fred.
Hey, Pops. You got any video or are you just going black?
Yeah, I can't do video. Sorry.
Okay. What do you? Yeah, no problem. So what are you thinking about the world here, Pops?
Well, it's well, what do you got here, Fred? What are we on?
Where we're just talking about the markets, stock market in particular, but also Bitcoin crashing. The
Yeah.
Fed didn't cut all these things. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, good. My favorite topic. So the Bitcoin pullback is necessary to go higher. Everyone agrees to that. The problem with Bitcoin right now is I and keeping the price low because um, there was a recent post rumor that also wealthy individuals can get in, and that's what really happened. Is the market took off that the wealthy got left behind. And I think they want they're going to keep the price low. Now that's also the problem with all this. That's the problem with government. Federally government asset is that can manipulate price a lot easier than when it was just on.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Pop. So you're in the sort of conspiracy thing. Let's talk to which is fine.
But Fred, I
Let's
would
talk
say
to
that
JWH.
Fred, I would like to no, sir. I don't think that's a very well theory. The
It's
short
not.
sort of
It's not wild. Everything's on the
sir,
table. I mean, it's possible, right?
sir.
Yeah.
The short interest on the Bitcoin futures contract, where you short 5 at one time, that is a
Mm-hmm.
really real thing. Controls the majority of pricing of commodities. The CME is
Mm-hmm.
the Chicago, and Bitcoin, by definition, is a commodity, not a security. Therefore, on the CME is more important than I think you're giving credit for.
Okay. Let Bob. That's
Thank
cool. Let's listen to. Let's get some other people on here because JWH is the
Have
first
a
one
nice
to put his
day.
hand up.
Hey, Fred.
So let's hear JWH. JWH, what's happening?
Can you hear me, Fred?
Yeah, we can hear. Oh, we can hear you fine. Here, how's it going?
Awesome. Doing great, buddy. Appreciate it. So what do you think? If the market continues like this, I mean, we'll probably get a little bounce next week, I would imagine, or maybe even tomorrow. But I think the Fed is probably bound to cut something here before the elections. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, look, I think they're definitely going to cut. The market thinks they're going to cut in September. The actual odds of a 50 basis point rate cut just went up a lot in September.
Yeah.
But look, I think what if the market drops 2,000 points today?
Yeah.
What are do I think that's possible? Yeah, it's possible. We don't know, right? But we get something in the Middle East. We have this. They
Yeah.
didn't react on interest rates. Is there a possibility for an emergency rate cut? Who knows, right? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
I mean, I'm in real estate. I'm a real estate investor, so I mean, it's been a tough slog here the last few months, and we're hoping that a rate cut will definitely bring more buyers out, into the market than what we're seeing right now. So I'm liking this 10-year under 4. I don't know what it does to the overall market, if it's healthy or not, but I'd love to see him have an emergency meeting in the next 30 days and slash some rates.
Well, September is coming in 40 odd days, right?
Yeah.
So, so the real question is, can they hold until September? If they can, they may go 50 basis points in September. I don't know. Or they may weasel out and just do 25. I think the chance of them doing nothing in September is going down.
I can't figure out how they're always late to the game. I don't understand. They're supposed to be some of the smartest financial wizards around, and they're always too late on the front end and too late on the back end. It just doesn't make sense to me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Tom, how's it going, sir?
Hey, good to try out this new platform, Fred.
Yeah. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah, normally it's basically great. Like, I'm not saying JWH is a bad, but whatever. I'm saying normally you just invite people. You don't put the link out. You know, like
Yeah.
I could. You know, we could have some random person buck naked or something. I got to be a little careful.
Yeah.
But you know,
I promise not to do that.
no, I mean either. Yeah.
So what I would say, Fred, I know you look at Luke Groman stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Look, the Fed's painted into a corner here. I mean, what if they look? They're going to cut rates. I agree with your thesis. It's going to come down. It has to come down. But as soon as it comes down, the yield curve goes from being inverted to not being inverted. And that's going to push into a recession. And politically, no one wants that. So then they say, okay, well, what am I going to do to get rid of that recession? They're just going to carpet bomb the economy with liquidity and money, which is, going to be obviously counterproductive to their inflationary objective. It's going to be good for Bitcoin, but I like Luke's thesis. I've been following him for a while. He's been very consistent with that thesis, and I just really think the Fed's painted into a corner. It's not like they can pull one or two levers and fix the problem. We have a systemic, chronic problem that the country's living beyond its means at the fiscal level, and that's manifesting into monetary policy that where that graph you show where it's all over the place. It's not that they don't know what they're doing; is that they're a cornered animal, and so you're going to have behaviors that I think are not consistent with what you want.
Yeah, look, I agree, and look, I love Luke Groman as well. I haven't pulled the plug and bought his premium subscription because pretty pricey, but I think I might actually, just because.
It was $100 a month, I think.
Oh, is that it? I thought it was a little bit more. Okay.
I think that's what it was last time I looked.
Okay. Yeah.
He offers a lot of free content, and I would just say his thesis is public domain, meaning that what he says is, one of my partners has one of his subscriptions, and I basically get the gist of it, and it's fairly consistent theme, which is, like I said, we're painted into a corner.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the rates come down, but the rates come down on the short end. It's not clear to me that the long end doesn't react negatively to short-term rate cuts that lead to a resurgence of inflation. Do you want to be the counterparty on a 30-year bond at 4 or 5 base? Call it 5%. I would.
Look. There's actually a really interesting video that's circulating that talks about look, the issue is the Treasury has been financing itself almost exclusively in the short term right now. There's not a lot of issuance of longer dated paper, right? So I think the question is, are we going to go back to a zero interest rate policy with QE, right? Is that possible, right? And I think that is possible, right? One of the ways to get the deficit down to some extent is to have interest rates be low, right? Because we're financing now $35 trillion, and we're financing it at different rates, but on the short end, it's still 5.5%. So how do you get that number down? You move that 5.5% down to 2 3/4, and all of a sudden, bingo, your financing cost goes down. So I think that they're going to try that for a little bit. I think you're right. I do think ultimately you're right, but I think in the shorter term, I think long-term rates are going to go down. That's kind of my view.
I sent you. I think I did it right in the private chat here.
Yeah, you got it. I got it.
A link. Then this is to some guy who basically does content on TikTok. Now, when it gets
this guy. Yeah, I've seen this guy before. Yeah.
He goes into he talks about this stealth QE that they're doing. And I forget what the term he used.
He calls it ATI.
Yeah.
Uh,
Very interesting. If you haven't watched that, it's
I watched it. Look, basically what he's saying is they haven't been issuing a lot on the longer side, right? So they've been so to the extent that these longer dated securities are rare, right? They're going to have a bid, and if the government starts issuing tons of 30-year bonds, well, yeah, the price is going to go down. But as long as the government doesn't issue a lot of it and funds itself mainly on the short end, there's going to be a bid on those longer term bonds. So that's all I can say is there is a bid. And you know why there is a bid? Because people want to roll the yield curve, right? So banks will say, you know what? I'm confident that, I can buy the 10-year note at 4%. And I'm confident that we're going to get our cost of carrying that trade at 2-3% over the period, right? If you believe that, that's a great trade, right? If you believe you can hold, if you can finance your 10-year note at 2% over the next 10 years, right? And you can just do that trade, and you can leverage that trade up a lot. That trade is highly leverageable, right? So that's not a bad trade, I think.
You can get upside down on that. I mean, if your cost of carry goes to 6% instead of 2%.
Yeah, but the cost of carry is completely determined by the Fed, right? So the Fed's going to determine the short-term interest rate. So if the Fed keeps that short-term interest rate low, there's no problem.
This gets to the painting into the corner. So they lower the interest rates down to 2.25 on the short end. The inflation takes off, and we go up to high single digits, low double digits. They can either just say, okay, that's it. That's the end game. We're gonna
that's what I think is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So I think what they're going to sort of say is, we're keeping our interest rates low. Inflation's perking up. It's transitory, or we don't care, or 3% is the new normal, 4% is the new normal, 10% is the new normal, and kind of like Roman's solution anyways is to inflate our way out of the debt, right? That's what he's saying we should do. I don't disagree.
Well, I mean, let's summarize his thesis for the most part. I mean, is you can default on the debt, you can get your fiscal house in order, or you can inflate it away. Defaulting is bad for everybody. Getting your fiscal house in order is a near impossibility. I mean, it's just politically, we're not going to do that. So then that leaves the easy way out, which is to inflate your way out of this, right. which means you want to be long assets. This is at some level I know earlier you had a call with a gold guy, the gold and the Bitcoin thesis. Also, I would want to hold other assets. I mean, I would say real estate is not going to be bad, even though there's a carry cost.
Well, the problem with real estate is there's going to be a taxation cost.
Yeah, that's the carry cost on it.
Right.
Like
what I'm saying is there can be additional new taxes levied on real estate.
Well, like in New Jersey, where I'm at, the carry cost is about 2.1%. And then there's taxes on transfer. So there's a realty transfer tax when you sell. If you sell a house over $1 million, there's an additional $10,000 tax. Mm-hmm. It's so they I think they tax you on your way to the closing when everything they can possibly tax. So yeah, there is a carry cost on that, but I would want to be long assets in this hypothesis where they're just going to monetize away the 35 trillion, because behind the 35 trillion, by the way, is a tremendous amount of unfunded liabilities. So you have
it's like 4 times that number.
Yes, you have Trump saying, and I can't agree with him.
Completely right.
politically, you can't disagree with what Trump was saying around, I'm not going to cut Social Security or Medicare. I mean, you got to politically, you got to say that. But that's a large source of the unfunded liabilities, because there's not a fund that gets funded out of. That's funded out of current account. So as we get older and the baby boomers move fully into this, I'm at the back end of the baby boomers, so I'm probably 3 or 4 years, 5 years away from the full Medicare, Social Security stuff. But you're going to see the demographic trend not be good. I mean, that's the argument for unbridled immigration is at least we keep the pyramid scheme going, where you have taxpayers at some level coming in to fund the social obligations.
Yeah.
See,
JWA, what do you think? Go ahead.
Oh, I agree 100%. I mean, people are having less kids now. I saw a stat the other day. I mean, compared to, well, I think the last 30, 40 years, I mean, it's like it's fallen off a cliff here. So hence the immigration to keep this thing going.
I think one of the things about immigration is, I'm kind of a student of economic history too, and part of there really was no immigration controls before FDR at all, zero, right? You could just, anybody comes in, come on in, welcome to Ellis Island, jump on in. You want to go to Pittsburgh and work in a steel mill? Have fun, that system worked as long as there was no sort of welfare and tax and income tax and everything else, right? So if you don't have this welfare state, there's no reason not to have almost open borders, right? You can argue, well, it's taking away American jobs, but it's overall it's good for the economy. Expanding the economy is good. I think the problem you get into is this cradle to grave welfare state. Doesn't seem to work very well with sort of open borders.
If you're going to have a welfare state, you have to have membership criteria,
right?
And so you have to be vested in the system in order to have that Social Security. So when FDR put in Social Security, the ratios, it was like 35-1, and it was the payout started at life expectancy, which is not 60. I mean, you weren't collecting it for a long time. So it's very different. And I think Medicare comes in 1965, and then it just progresses from there, where lots of people are eligible through Social Security disability and things like that. And plus we have Medicaid and the welfare system. So while you have that, you cannot have open borders. I think that we should have open borders and eliminate the welfare state, because I think if we don't have the pyramid rebuild, people want to live here. There's plenty of room in the country. It would revitalize the country if you could do that. But I just don't think we could give up. You can't have the open borders and have the welfare state. It just doesn't work. My family came in from Germany. At least, my dad's family settled in Pittsburgh and worked in the steel mills. And my great grandfather, he died in an industrial accident. And I saw the paperwork. My great grandmother got $30 and they paid for the funeral. So my grandfather and his brother had to go live in an orphanage. Wow. And my great grandmother and great aunt, they lived in a closet with relatives.
Wow.
So my grandfather, when I was growing up, was extremely conservative, because he knew like, hey, the rug could be pulled and I could be not having food. So, he invested in things like railroad bonds and things like that. But that whole immigration wave that happened in the late 1800s, that really drove the American Renaissance in the 20th century, was from an unbridled immigration, but without the welfare system.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that. There was a post on Twitter today. It showed, looks like a server had took a picture of a receipt, right, a sales receipt, and at Did you see that at the top of the sales receipt? It showed their, I guess, EBT card, or I guess it's like a, you know, 14 or $15,000 left to use, and like $4,500 in cash they could take out. And this is the kind of thing that they're handing out. You talked about the welfare system. They didn't have that. My grandfather's an immigrant from Italy, and grew up dirt poor, built a multi-million-dollar roofing business, and he passed away a couple years ago. But he lived as if he was living in the Great Depression. There was no, there was nothing, no cradle there to protect him against any, kind of downfall or bankruptcy, or maybe not bankruptcy, but just there's just too many apparatuses in place right now in the welfare system to kind of keep people going, and not allowing them to fail. But
Yeah.
I agree with you that we need people coming in, but you can't give them 20 grand, 25 grand, and put them up in $500 a night hotels in New York City to get them going. That's just not fair to the rest of us.
Prior to the welfare state, I mean, people came over if they had family to sponsor them.
Right.
That was the practical matter. Fred, I don't know if you saw that receipt. Who knows if these things are fake, by the way? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'll send Fred, I'll just send you the link on the chat so you can just post it. It showed $13,400 on the food and $4,500 on the cash on their EBT card that was left after the purchase. And when you, that's, again, I don't know if this is true. I mean, it doesn't look like it's fake, but it could be.
Yeah.
But it does beg the broader question, like, what are we doing here? And you got to think there's a, I don't know. I mean, you have to, what's the motive of the federal bureaucrats who are driving this, when, I would say lower middle class Americans don't even have that kind of capitalization in their food and cash budget.
Yeah.
Well, there's zero accountability on the people who spend that money, right? So,
Yeah.
they can just spend whatever they want. So, when you have that kind of, I can go spend whatever I want and do something, you get some very weird, to quote Kamala Harris, weird outcomes, right? There's some very weird things going on. Like, they had all these, a homeless shelter is being built in Santa Monica near where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the cost per one bedroom is $1 million. Like what? You're gonna put a homeless person in $1 million one bedroom? What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they wonder why people on Twitter and conspiracy theories are that they're buying votes. I mean, it's not an unreasonable question to ask.
I mean, look, the one thing that somebody's crypto crank saying, how does this affect Social Security? Like, whatever we do, we need to kind of make it sort of work backward compatible, right? To some extent, right? But it doesn't mean that some new person coming into the system right now should get, the same thing that, Thomas or me or one of these other gray hairs. We got another gray hair here. Let's bring him up. Mr. Cardone. Let's see. Let's go here. Gary.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
How is everybody in Bitcoin land?
Well, we were better in Nashville when you were donating to Trump. You got to donate more, Gary.
I'm alone going to fuel the price.
You have to fuel it.
That's it.
You gotta like do your job there, Gary.
Well, if you liked it a week ago, you got to love it at 62.8.
Yeah, we do. But the rest of the world's going to hell in a handbasket, as they say. So,
Dude, the rest of the world is most certainly a handbasket at this point. I think it's not going there. It's sad, too. It's really sad. I notice the older guys are more concerned about it than the younger guys.
Well, communism looks really good when you're 20 years old. It really does. And, I can speak because I grew up in France, and I was completely indoctrinated by communism, right? I had a communist party card, a card carrying member of the Communist Party. I thought this was the greatest thing ever, and surely the system in Russia was better than our system, like for sure it was, So there's a lot of misinformation. I think that a lot of people buying into this Kamala Harris idea they've never really, obviously they've never been in business, but also they've never really, a lot of them ever worked for a job. They never had a job. So when you've never had a job, it really seems great, this idea of, DEI and, carbon credits and all the rest, it sounds fantastic. Like,
Gary, the thing you said about older folks seem to care a little bit more about this. One reason that might be is the fact that, I think, I'm not sure where JWH is, but I know the three of us are probably in our 60s, right? If there's a problem, because we have a blow up of some sort, we have a lot less runway to recover. I mean, at some point you get older and, you're in the back third of the life. You don't really have that time to recover the way I'd say a 25 or 30-year-old would, where you could reinvent yourself and make a good go of it. If you get wiped out when you're 65, you're going to be a burden to your family.
That's how most people end up all over the world too. When I heard 97 or 98% of the people on the planet have to have their kids bury them, I'm like, man, I do not want to end up in that bucket, right? I mean, my dad died when I was 8 or 9 years old, and like my mother was just terrified, man. She did such a good job with whatever little tiny insurance policy he left her, but we were always scared, man, constantly skimping. I don't remember going on but one holiday my entire life with her. Now we were middle class, but she was not going into debt. See, that's the difference. We weren't, didn't have Netflix. We weren't hammering my mom's credit card. If we wanted to make $10 a week, we had to mow the grass. And that was a time when you left the house at 8 and you showed up back at 6. We had tons of friends. We could communicate. Nobody was worried about getting a little scratch on your face. I mean, this is when, I always tell people, especially from Europe, hey, where are you from? I'm from Louisiana. Where's that? Well, where men are men and everybody else is terrified. And that's just the best way you can define growing up in Louisiana, in a tiny little oil town in the 1970s. It was just a different period. And quite frankly, I think it made us tougher. And I actually believe, guys, that we must go into a major depression for us to get reset psychologically. I just think it's just, Trump is, look, I probably pissed off $1 million. That's the truth. I probably pissed off 10 million. Okay. Quite frankly, if I look at it in 3 or 4 years, but the reason I did this, because he's not a professional politician. And everybody else that's running for this show is a professional politician. No ifs, ands, or buts. And like, we finally need a businessman. Look, I'll go to work for Donald Trump for 4 years. Give me any division. Okay. Stay the fuck out of my way. You can fire me anytime you want. You don't like it? Fire me, man. I don't care.
Yeah.
Fire me in 5 days, fire me in 30 days, fire me in 4 years. But like, we need some businessmen here.
Gary, you mentioned also the cultural reset. I mean, we do need a little bit of that. I mean, when I was growing up, there was and I'm sure everybody in this cohort had the same thing. You'd be thrown out of the house and say, come back when it's dark out, right? And you didn't have helicopter moms or whatever worried about every little thing you did. And you did things that were probably dangerous, and you learned the hard way. And the younger people in our current culture are softer now. There's an entitlement, and it's tough. And I think you learn those lessons the hard way. And I think societally, we're going to have some lessons taught to us, whether we like it or not. And we probably need it, by the way.